All right. Well, so the first esk8 on the bench, straddling both benches because it is massive. I thought I would do a quick review of this board. I want to do mostly running videos once I've got any good. But I thought I would do a quick review of this board, a quick review of Ecomobl. Firstly, I'd like to say that the guys at Ecomobl have been great. The communication is excellent. I've had every single email answered within, at latest, when I go to bed after asking the question in the afternoon, in the morning it's answered. That's the longest it's taken them. Their customer support has been excellent. That's enough about them. The board. So, as you guys know, I have really limited experience with e-boards, but I will make sure that that will change because they are great fun. I can tell you that this thing is absolutely brilliant in terms of the performance. It's mind-blowing. I'm doing about 25 miles an hour on the second of 4 speed settings. You know, to give you an idea, this board is incredibly fast, and when you're stood on this with nothing but a helmet on going 25 mile an hour, you feel pretty open for abuse, put it that way. What I can see from other boards in this range, so you're basically, this board is in the same kind of ballpark as a Baja Boards S2, as any other four-wheel drive independent suspension e-board. What I will say is that this one is much cheaper than those e-boards, but you don't tell that it's cheaper, but it is incredibly heavy, and the engineering on it is very, very basic. Now, I'm not saying that because I'm knocking it. This is an honest review. So these are pretty stock standard high tensile steel eye bolts in here and in here. This is all CNC'd aircraft grade aluminium, but it is massive. I mean, just to get some calipers out and do a few funky measurements for you. That's the shock towers at there you go, almost 25 millimeters, 22.5 millimeters thick. The A-arms not dissimilar in thickness. All adds up to a board that is 25 kilos, which is really, really heavy duty. You know, it is serious bit of kit. This is really great for when you're going off-road because it just soaks it up. But you know, for a first-time rider like me, it's a bit daunting. Overall, I love it. This board comes with built-in lights. I don't think a lot of the other high-end off-road boards, you know, you have to buy your shred lights, this, that and the other. This board is rocking over 2,000 watts each wheel, so in terms of power, it's right up there with the best of them. It really is. I have done now almost 100 miles in 2 days, and that's just purely having fun on my 1.2 kilometer driveway and across a few of the fields. I have been across a grass cow field that has not had any cows in yet this season, but pretty undulating to say the least on this board at about 10 miles an hour. Now I'm still dialing it in. It's quite difficult to do the correct camber and toe measurements because the camber and toe changes dramatically as soon as you get on the board by the nature of the way it's set up and your weight. So I believe that the camber and toe is pretty good. I would maybe like to see the front wheels a little more toe out to aid with steering, but I'm only saying that because I changed the springs from the red to the green. You just have to find the hole, pull the screw out, pop them out. Putting them back in is a bit of an issue. I had to undo one of the shocks just to get extra flex on this whole setup in order to get these very high powered heavy duty springs in. These are for your basically your turning circle, so they limit the amount of flexing the board does in that way. It doesn't affect the board's ability to go over the rough stuff. That is the shocks and the way you have your shock spring set up. I did wind them down and then I wound them back to make it a lot softer. But the steering it is harder, and it does limit the steering, which means that it's better on the road and on the paths that I've got around here. And for my weight at almost 100 kilos, it's better for me. But it's kind of decreases your ability to do any heavy kind of carving when you start off, because you have to use way more body weight. So it's all a learning experience for me. I do have some foot straps. I really am trying to hold off the foot straps because I want to learn how to ride it before. I always want to run before I can crawl. I want to crawl this time. I want to enjoy the process rather than just fighting for the, for the biggest jump or the longest ride or whatever. So you can easily chew up the mileage on this thing, man. It is unbelievable. I mean, just cruising along 20 mile an hour on this thing, well, 20 miles in an hour. I'm not sure what the battery is going to give me. They say in terms of kilometers, it's about 45 kilometers. I don't know what that is in UK money. But if you're going 20 mile an hour, I guess you could maybe get rid of the battery in a couple of hours. The battery is massive though. I mean, that is a big battery box full of Samsung batteries. What I will say is that you can ride it 2- and 4-wheel drive from the remote control, which is really cool. It's got a cruise control function. So when you are, if you're going along at 15 mile an hour and you're on a nice long stretch of road, you can press and hold down the power button and it will just stick at cruise control until you brake, which is pretty cool. The lights are super powerful and easily enough for night riding for sure, although I do have a headlamp attachment on my helmet. And that's about it. It's just a quick review. I see a lot of these esk8 guys online are massively slick in presenting their wares. I'm not in that category. But what I can do is just show you some really cool close-ups. I mean, check out, let's get the calipers out. Let's do it and let's have a look at these A-arms. These A-arms are aero grade aluminium, and they are 18 millimeters thick. This is all high tensile steel. These can be easily replaced, which is pretty cool. It's a little bit agricultural, so there's a lot of overspill on kind of all of the waterproofing here on the corners of the battery box. However, I prefer seeing that, a lot of waterproofing and proofing against the elements rather than anything else. I've had a few scratches, as you can see, from rocks and stuff. I'm not treating this like a princess. This is getting ridden like an off-road board. So yeah, I'm giving it proper Loudy. One thing I will say is these are solid tires. There are their new 200 millimeter solid tire, and they are heavy. One of them was off for the shipping. I had to install it, and man, they are really heavy. I know it's almost impossible to run anything other than a solid tire, but I would have liked to seen a lighter tire. To be honest, they do one which has got more kind of venting in it on their smaller boards. Maybe it wouldn't have been strong enough for this board, but yeah, the tires are massive, probably 1.5 kilos each, so 6 kilos is in 6 kilos of the 25 kilos is in just the tires. The deck is super solid, really nice Canadian maple, I believe, sandwiched maple. The riding position, there's some really nice hollows here for your feet, so there is curvature this way, and there is curvature this way and that way, so your foot just naturally gravitates into this nice slot here and here. The board is super stable. The lights are killing it. I just am so overall I am so pleased. Yes, it is a bit agricultural, but this is a lot cheaper, like £1,000 I believe, or at least $1,000 cheaper than the nearest competition board, and that's without any lights or anything like that. So and shred lights, for those who don't know, will set you back a couple of £100 to get the same kind of illumination that you have on this thing. So I'm super stoked with it. I'm only 100 miles in. I've got a week off next week, but the weather is due to be absolutely shocking. Snow up here in Scotland, so goodness only knows when I'm going to get out to ride again, but I will be out and I will be riding and I will be enjoying this beast, because it is just awesome. It really is quite something, I have to say. I've never ever experienced anything like it, and I've done all sorts of board sports all around the world. Avid surfer, longboarder, pool boards, skate parks, wake surfing, I mean everything. Nothing is like this. The power from this thing is absolutely quite shocking, I have to say. The acceleration is really violent. In four-wheel drive on the medium setting like I have to lean right over the front of the board, and I'm up doing 20 mile an hour in, I don't know what it is, maybe I should time it, 2 seconds probably. I think that's probably fair. So and this thing will take me 100 kilos up our 26% incline driveway hill, and it will stop halfway. It'll hold me on the brakes, and then I can floor it, and I'm back up at 20 mile an hour in 3 seconds. It's quite unbelievable, really, truly amazing. But anyway, enough waffling. That's the board. Sorry it's not super polished like all these other super slick esk8 guys. This is going to be hopefully more about the riding, and you guys know what I'm like anyway. This is a working shed, as you can see. All the cars are there to be driven, and this is there to be driven, and that is for sure. Peace.